Okay. Well, they were in Toronto. And of course, we know that that is in North America, probably along with Philadelphia, I would think, and New York, the most noted smart audiences. It's they'll come, they know what's going on. And they had a crowd, it looked like. I don't know, you might have a count by the time that I set this scene up or whatever, but it looked like they had some people in the building for once. And here comes Mercedes Money, Mone, the CEO, as opposed to the EVP or the board of directors or the assistant to the vice principal or whatever the fuck's going on around here. Out she comes. And Brian, have you heard about now some of the reasoning from her own lips, by the way, unless she's been misquoted somehow? Some of the reasoning for why she picked the AEW deal over a potential WWE return. Have you heard her thoughts on this? You didn't hear them here, but have you heard them when she's done interviews other places?
I don't know. I mean, I know in the interview last week, she said she went to AEW because she could become global that way as opposed to WWE. And
no, I'm not talking what she said on TV. I'm talking about the story that I have heard is that the decision she made because if the WWE signed her and paid her millions of dollars, then obviously we know the drill. They would own her name, intellectual property, likeness. They would have to approve outside activities, acting parts. I understand she's got music. Music is in the works from Mercedes Mone. Can't wait to hear that album.
Oh, joy.
But so they would be in control of all her outside projects, as they usually are, correct? And they're going to pay her millions of dollars and do all these things they normally do.
They'll pay you millions of dollars. You'll get an awful royalty fee on everything, and they'll try to control everything. At least traditionally, that's things are done differently now, but that's traditionally how it would be. Yeah.
Yes. And we have railed against that in the past, but that's the way that things work there. That was the deal. We're going to pay you millions of dollars, but we're going to be in control of all your stuff for good and for bad, whatever the case. Whereas Tony said, no, I'll pay you millions of dollars, if not more millions of dollars. And plus, you can do anything you want to do. You can, so this was a no-brainer. She has to come to work once a week and be Mercedes Mone. And otherwise, she can do any acting or singing or dancing or choir practice, whatever the fuck she's into, and make more money on top of that. And Tony won't be in control of it or ask for a pay. Why would you not take that deal? Because she doesn't want to be, I'm pretty sure, a wrestler. Because let's face it, Christian Cage and Edge are there. They're 50 years old, and Sting just retired. He's 65. I don't think anybody wants to see Mercedes Mone when she's 50. And a lot of these girls say, well, I'll be a singing star, or I'll be on TV, or I'll be in the movies. I know she was in, the Valedictorian already, right? The Star Wars thing?
The Mandalorian, I believe.
Well, okay. Well, she was runner-up then. If she'd been a little bit better, she could have been the Valedictorian, but instead she was just the Mandalorian. But still, she's in something. And so I'm sure she's like, yeah, this fucking sucker will pay me millions of dollars to do this part-time while I transition into doing whatever the fuck else I want to do to attract attention to myself. Because one thing we've learned from her past couple weeks fucking appearances is she is pleased with herself and very full of herself, as Mama Cornette would say. And except I haven't heard her sing yet, but I'm not seeing the acting, Brian. She takes the microphone and shoos Tony Schiavone out and does another beauty pageant acceptance speech with memorized material and the fake emotion and thank you to the crowd where it is appropriate. Maybe it's not fake. Maybe she really feels it and she just is so intent on doing her memorized dissertation that she wants to put it. I don't know. And again, Stacy was watching this part with me, and I said, is this a baby face? She's too full of herself to be a baby face. The whole CEO thing, I've got all the fucking jewelry, I led a revolution. You know, But then we get to the meat of the matter. Why are you here? All of this almost got taken away from me 10 months ago. And this is a quote. I almost had a career near-ending injury.
You know, I heard her mess it up, and I didn't catch exactly how it went until you read it back.
I almost had a career near-ending injury. But okay, she said, I had a match for the New Japan Women's title against Willow Nightingale. And this was all almost taken away from me. Okay, how? What, where? What was the injury? How did you come back? She never in this whole fucking thing said what happened exactly, where it was, what was the injury, how she came back, what she came back from, the obstacle she had to overcome, none of that. I guess she assumes that everybody in the world knows her whole goddamn life story and has been following her recovery with bated breath ever since whatever the fuck happened. I know she broke her goddamn ankle, leg. What was it? We cover this shit. I didn't care enough to remember.
I think it was her ankle, but I think it's everyone's ankle.
All right. Well, the point is, she doesn't say that. Then she pitches to a video of, and I think, okay, the video will explain this miraculous comeback. We'll see footage of the injury. We'll hear from a, no, it was a MTV compilation with clips of her in limousines and on red carpets. And once again, thinking a lot of the way she looks and dresses. And I'm thinking this is perfect for a self-absorbed, egotistical heel wearing fancy clothes and trying to be some reality TV dipshit. How is this an endearing personality? And then the video ends and she mentions that she needed to come back here. And again, she never said what she came back from or how. And she wants to lead a global revolution and face the best women from all over the globe. I do not think Rhea Ripley will cooperate. And says that nobody better mess with Willow Nightingale but her. We know she's mad at Willow, and the announcers have alluded to shit, but I don't think it's come out of her own fucking lips yet. You broke my ankle, you bitch, and I want to get... They're talking to each other in snide ways. Either you're wanting to get even or whatever. I don't know. Before we get to the angle, do you have any comments?
You're summing it up pretty well, I think. Now, she's still super over and getting a good reaction. Although at one point, yes. I thought the fans were chanting CEO, but it was actually the recording because they stopped it and it immediately stopped.
Yeah. Well, see, there are people, to be fair, there are people chanting CEO. You can see some doing it, and they're trying to find him with the camera. And they've also got a CEO fucking track they're piping in.
And, you know, I could be wrong, but between this promo and exactly what it was and the weird video playing in the middle of it for no reason, and then some of the things I saw later in the show, they did that WWE thing where Renee, the interviewer, says, let me now introduce you to this person who's been standing here awkwardly waiting, and now they'll walk one step in.
Yeah.
And then there's the pause on the person. And
well, they're also trying to do the thing where the guys are arriving earlier in the day, the sports thing that.
Well, that's okay.
WWE start doing, but I mean, they're taking a few pages from professional television.
No, they're taking a few things from Raw a few years ago. That's what I think. They hired that woman to be Sasha's. They hired that woman who Sasha worked very well with, or Mercedes worked very well with.
Alexandra Pepperday.
And now, all of a sudden, AEW feels a little more pepperized. I don't know what else to say about it, but there were certain moments in this promo. It's like, it's here. They got a big house. You asked how big the house was. As of yesterday afternoon, so they may have had a walk-up, 6,278, 6,278 tickets distributed.
That's big for them these days.
That's a very big house. And, you know, it felt like a Raw opening promo. Again, not now, not Paul Levesque's Raw, a few years ago. And it felt like that last week a little bit too.
Well,
but there's other things I'm starting to see on this show that are like, oh no. Because it feels like not now Raw, not the new things WWE's doing with production that feel fresh. I like AEW doing some of that stuff. At one point, they had Renee by the ramp as things were getting going. And I was like, okay, that's different. And it was actually good. But the stuff that's like the bad backstage acting, that stuff is starting to get introduced into the show, and that's worrisome.
Well, here's another thing that's worrisome, because then the angle that they did with this multi-million-dollar investment, she says nobody better mess with Willow but her, and then the lights go out. And then they come back on, and they got their camera shots flummoxed because we were supposed to see Julia Hart standing in the aisleway and then Sky Blue attack Mercedes from behind, but they had a wide shot, and we never saw Julia till after we saw Sky coming in, blah, blah, blah. Point is, Sky Blue attacks Mercedes. Mercedes drops her with a whatchamadiggy. And then Julia Hart comes in, and she evades her, and the heels roll out and get 2 chairs. And then they're going to get in the ring, apparently, and beat the shit out of old Mercedes Mone. But here comes Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander, both of them carrying chairs, and they slide in. Now we've got 3 baby faces with 2 chairs and 2 heels with 2 chairs. And the lights go out, and the heels, when they come back on, the heels are gone. But awkwardly, Willow is still drawing a chair back like she's going to hit somebody, and since Mercedes is standing in front of her but with her back turned, you get the impression. But then when Mercedes catches Willow, turns around and catches her, Willow's like, oh, why would you think I'm trying to hit you over there with a chair? Because I was drawing a chair back to goddamn bash someone's brains in, and you're the only one there.
And the opponents left a little while ago. She held it too long, like you said. It happened. It took too long.
So, and then Mercedes walks off. And I wrote, Jesus Christ. So that's what she's involved in.
Let me just say this right now, and we're going to definitely time travel in the show to come back with ratings and some other stuff later on. But I'm dying to see how the show does, because if you look at last week's number, which I think everyone has called disappointing, that was Mercedes Moné's debut, but she was never really billed. So you had to know, but it seems like AEW's fans know. Do more people tune in the opening of the show again this week to see her? And then to the next segment, the ratings died at a few points last week, noticeably. The Bucks and Okada, and then, of course, the Willow Nightingale main event. You could say the Jericho match, too, but not to the extent of the other 2. Tony started the show this week with the stuff that didn't perform last week. So for that reason, I'm just dying to see the ratings.
Well, but now, hold on now, because, it did perform last week. The Big Bang Theory did perform. Until you get Mercedes in quarter 2 or after, you won't know for sure, and in something meaningful or long enough to actually people to notice. You won't have the proof that you're looking for, but then again, I have the feeling you'll have the proof. The first quarter always does the biggest number, and she's been in the first quarter 2 weeks in a row. Were people tuning in for her? It's the same thing as they tune in to begin with. And then the question is, when she's at the top of the hour, or in quarter 3 or quarter 5, and advertised, we're going to have this match with Mercedes, or Mercedes is going to have her nails done, then we're going to find out whether or not she's drawing any viewers.